So it's July 23rd, Tuesday. Can't believe the month of July is already gone pretty fast. It's kind of crazy. We had a kind of a longer winter. June was a little cold, but July's been hot. It's crazy how fast it's going through. But, I haven't had a whole lot of downtime for anything, but one of the books I was able to pick up was called Resistance to Tyranny. I actually brought it with me today, so I didn't have to do a little picture demonstration. So, Resistance to Tyranny. It's a thick book. You're looking at roughly, I think it was over 450 pages. Prepper or nurse and Reed from I can't remember what their company is called at this moment, but they both are kind of extreme libertarian patriots, and I appreciate that. And I kind of put myself in the position of that's kind of where I'm leaning to. She mentioned the book, and when she was talking about how voting is no longer an option for us to actually get through this anymore, where our votes basically no longer count. Being in a rural area with a libertarian mindset, voting has basically become useless. Mostly it's due to the two-party system. We covered that before. But this book, she brought it up, and it's a really good how-to book on how to fight a tyrannical government. And it uses a lot of examples, not just made-up ones, but it uses examples from throughout the entire world, including our own. And it covers in chapter topic, for instance, caching weapons or hiding weapons, because an upcoming gun ban, you don't necessarily want to have all your guns in one room in your safe going, well, I'm waiting for the tyranny to happen, and all of a sudden they ban guns, and for whatever reason your neighbor rats you out for whatever money they give them, and now you're out without any weapons. So it talks about how to do that. And the example that I really appreciated they used was, a lot of people talk about how my guns went in the ocean or whatever because I was on a fishing trip. Okay, cool, but that's not going to work. It might fool your dumb friend, but it's not going to fool them. They know what you kind of have, because not so much on the 4473s, but probably because you talk about it online. So your neighbor knows what you have too. So they know you're going to have guns. Now, they talk about hiding them in caching, and they talk about where to put them and kind of stuff. But they also talk about having something to turn in. And they talk about not using what the traditional concept that I've always thought of was broken guns. They talk about having a few guns that you're willing to part with that could be your sacrificial gun. And whether it's your $300 AR-15 or it's a whatever, some things that you could turn in, because they're going to want something. And they're not going to think that, all you had was some pellet guns and some broken 22s. That's interesting. Oh, it's weird. Your credit card statement shows you've been buying bulk 5.56 for the last 10 years, So you have to kind of think of that. And that's just one topic. It covers a wide range of things too. How to actually fight a tyrannical government as a team. And they talk about how to win public support. How not to damage things so that you don't lose the public support. There was an example they used, these rebels, if you want to call them, they were fighting tyranny. They blew up a hotel. They used too much explosives, and they didn't think about what they blew up. They wound up killing the target intended, but they also damaged and killed a bunch of civilians. So you can't have collateral damage. The tyrannical government can have collateral damage. You can't. You need to win public support, because at some point you need them to supply you with food, a place to rest, a place to sleep. I know that's rest too, but be able to hide you or supply you, because you can't just go out into the woods and expect that I'm just going to live out in the woods and then I'm going to fight tyranny. You need logistical support, and you can't do it all alone. They talk about squads and teams and building kind of a militia setup in some sort of sense. And they talk about communication, how you do written, radio, and how to make it secure. It's very good. It's so detailed that you're going to want a notebook and a pen or sticky notes, because there's so much information in here. You're going to start checking stuff off. I'd say about 60% of the way through this book, and I found it to be really good. I honestly did. I thought, there's more to it, but every chapter is something different, and it's easy to read, where it's not like a lot of super important details, but it's in common man's language. If you're former military, you'd probably find it a little easier on some of the terms. But I think even when it talks about food, you can't just live on MREs for 2 weeks. So yeah, it does talk about kind of the full broad spectrum of how you would actually have to fight, and it talks about if you're not willing to fight, but maybe you're willing to be the logistical support. So if you're willing to lend a hand, or you're willing to put in the effort to go, hey, you know what, you need bullets? Well, I got bullets, I can reload. Cool, I'll reload for you. So it has a lot of good concepts that I find interesting. I'll put a link in the description. I got it on Amazon for about $12. I know my buddy got his off of eBay for, used for even less than that. I thought it was an exceptional book, so I'd highly, highly recommend it. Again, it's called Resistance to Tyranny. It's a black cover book. You can't go wrong without it. I'd recommend everybody read it. Have a copy with your group. Our group right now, our Meg, is reading, at least half the group is reading this book. And a lot of people couldn't put it down. It's also a lot of information, so if you're busy, I try to read a couple chapters a night, or at least a chapter a night. It's just a lot of information. So with that, it's Raven Tactical. We're signing out. We're trying to look for the corny end slogan that a lot of these people have. Why don't you write a comment of how you think the end slogan should be? Subscribe, hit like, and thank you for watching. Thank you for the people that are following us.